We now have a keynote by Mr. Kapil Wadhawan, who is the chairman of the Wadhawan Global Capital. Mr. Wadhawan's stewardship has steered the growth of the flagship company of the group, DHFL, into a world-class financial services company and market leader. Having transformed the housing sector in India through affordable finance solutions, Mr. Kapil Wadhawan has championed the cause of financial inclusion, leading WGC to become an engine of growth for the group's financial services and businesses.
Mr. Wadhawan is a member of the Board of Governors of Infrastructure Industry of the World Economic Forum. Under Mr. Wadhawan's leadership, the group has crafted an enduring corporate social responsibility vision to empower the underprivileged with the foundation of education. Profit with a purpose forms the genesis of his business vision.
May I now invite Mr. Kapil Wadhawan to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Hello, everyone. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the LSE SU India Forum for creating this global platform that connects the industry and academia. As one of the largest student forums in the UK, it is a great platform for interacting with young, bright minds of this prestigious institution. The scale and reach of this forum reinforces my belief that education is the tool for development of economies, betterment of societies, and advancement of our civilization in a world that is increasingly marked by discrimination and now protectionism. We cannot have a weapon better than education to erase needless boundaries and nurture our dreams of parity. Education has the power to instill maturity and tolerance to accept diverse viewpoints and the courage to create an environment of equality. I'm a great believer in the strength of education, the power of youth, and the value of disruptive thinking. When brought together, these three factors hold tremendous potential to transform the story of mankind as we know it. I have witnessed this at close quarters. About 3 decades ago, a young man nurtured a dream that every Indian should have a house of his own. In pursuit of his vision, he founded a company to enable equitable economic empowerment through affordable access to credit. The young man's resolve went unnoticed, although he sought to implement social inclusion as a business practice long before the term started trending in boardrooms. Nevertheless, he was not discouraged and pursued his vision with single-minded dedication and zeal. The young man was none other than my father, late Sri Rajesh Kumar Wadhawan, and the company was DHFL. Today, DHFL is one of the leading players in the world's largest housing for all program. From a monoline housing finance company, it has evolved into a large financial services group held closely by its holding company, the Wadhawan Global Capital. We continue to be guided by our founder's vision of empowering the underserved through financial access. The journey of WGC is like the journey of India. In the 1980s, the country was an undeveloped economy, plagued with a plethora of socio-economic challenges and prompting little attention in world economics. In 1990s, post the liberalization, privatization, and globalization policies, it came to be known as a developing economy. Its open economy piqued the interest of global economists, and over the next decade, it went from being a developing nation to an emerging economy, with everyone vying for a share in Indianomics. Today, the dream run continues. If anything has changed, it is our confidence and conviction to emerge as the next global superpower. I believe we are taking great strides in this direction. Earlier this week, India has displaced China as the world's fastest growing economy. In recent times, India has nurtured bilateral ties with a significant number of nations. Our relationship with UK has strengthened leaps and bounds over the years. Historically, there has been a strong traffic of investment between the two nations. Today, India is among the top 4 investors in the UK. At WGC, we chose UK as the first nation to expand our global footprint. It has been an easy choice given the favorable investor ecosystem, ready availability of skilled manpower, and the culture of innovation. London, in fact, is one of the most conducive cities to nurture digital businesses. And trust me, I've seen this at very close quarters in the last 1.5 years. Just as India is firming its position as a leading innovator in the emerging markets, UK is replicating the same feat amongst developed countries. Most of our strategic investments in the UK, being in the fintech space, are working towards financial empowerment. Parity of access, which is the foundational philosophy of the WGC Group, continues to be the guiding vision of our businesses world over. In this context, again, the role of education cannot be undermined. I believe that education is not just a fundamental right, but also a critical driver of larger development objectives. It plays an important role in poverty reduction, creates better economies, and lends stability to the political order. I must say, you are indeed privileged to have an education. You will always be held in high esteem for having this education. However, education remains elusive to a large section of marginalized communities across the world. Access to education is the key and can have a multiplier effect in shaping the opportunities of the future. A truly progressive economy thrives on the tenet of equal access to opportunities and resources. An equal world means more even-handed distribution of resources and better access to everyone for opportunities of progress, a characteristic that is glaringly missing from today's contemporary economics. As the world economy regains a semblance of balance, hopefully, and after witnessing a prolonged period of turbulence, it is vital that equality and access to education is an integral part of the new order. It is a critical investment that we must make today for a better tomorrow. It is this weapon with which we can empower our future generations to dream bigger and insulate their futures from the perils of intolerance and narrow-mindedness. As I share my views with all of you, my heart is filled with the hope that we are indeed working towards an environment towards this end objective. Let our actions resonate our belief that education is a right and not a privilege. Thank you so much. This also, for the benefit of everyone here, reminds me of the fact that when I personally, after having spent 2 years in my father's company, in DHFL, gaining some experience before I headed on for my post-graduation degree, my father was very clear that unless you don't have formal education, please do not get into the office. And that is a value which I believe has really helped not just me in shaping the company and the group where it is today, but also in ensuring that we continue to be a large provider of access to education to a large number of people, to a large number of students, to a large number of children in India, and now through our financial access program to students internationally. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Does anyone in the audience have any questions for Mr. Wadhawan? Yes, please.
So as the chairperson of a very successful company, what advice would you have for young students just beginning, embarking on their careers?
Wow. I was in a similar position not too long ago. Persevere. Be patient. And surely dream big. I think there is always that strong emotional connect which each of us carries. My biggest emotional connect was with my father. We lost him in the year 2000. But the single-minded objective was to have strong perseverance and go for his dream, go for his vision.
Anyone else? Yes, please.
So I wouldn't pretend to know much about housing finance, but from what little I know, I've heard that the housing market in general is quite uncertain. So as a firm that looks for certainty, how do you add that certainty to such an uncertain industry?
I think there is nothing in life which is certain, trust me. But yes, from a pure housing perspective, I think, and let me just track back to the journey of 34 years ago when my father set up the housing finance business in India. Extremely under-accessed, extremely risk-averse as people. We as Indians are extremely risk-averse, or were risk-averse. We've started taking on more risk as time has gone by, as we have become more integrated with the larger, world economy, as information has become more, promising for us to take decisions on. Way back in '84, we didn't have a strong housing finance system in the country. The government in India was whilst one of their agenda was to promote housing for all, but clearly that didn't progress with much zeal. There were housing schemes, there were housing programs which were pushed through the public sector enterprises within India. But in '84, when my father started the housing finance business, we were just the second housing finance company to be formed at that time. And it preceded the formation even of the regulatory body, the regulatory agency in India at that time. '87, '88 is when we saw the emergence of the National Housing Bank, which today, lends support to housing finance companies, both, old and new. Sets the framework for equitable distribution of credit to a large section of the society. But over the years, at that time, whilst I can only, track back to where we started from, mortgage to GDP ratio in India was very, very low. The shortfall in housing was very high, was very large rather. Even today, even after 34 years, the mortgage to GDP ratio, which in many developed economies, as well as some of our Southeast Asian and Asian counterparts, ranges between 20% to almost 80%. India is still today at about 7.5% to 8%. The shortfall in housing, the demand-supply gap, is almost 40 million units. That does not factor the demographic changes, that does not factor the increase in population, etc. So with all of this, and if you see some of the recent guidelines by the government, the government's vision for housing for all, I think it's a brilliant step and in the right direction. At least there is a government now which has set a vision for housing.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, please.
As climb the ladder of success, what can they do to remain grounded and not lose sight or forget about the reason why they started climbing the ladder in the first place? What advice can you give to students?
It's a brilliant question. Be yourself. Don't get swayed away by success. And I have seen many who have done that. And that's primarily led to their downfall. Be yourself. Don't change yourself.
Thank you so much, sir. You definitely touched upon a lot of life values and life skills that will hold us all in good stead. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you. We will now break for a short coffee break. We will resume at 4:20. See you all back there. Thank you.